Good day, brothers and sisters, One Nation Tribal Alliance and community. Today, I am continuing on my message to you all about who am I? I mean, this is what I started to, I guess, share with you because of the meeting or the gathering that we had on the Great Awakening. And one of the things that I had talked about was allowing your soul tribe to know who you are. So, this is the second part of it. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the ending or what, but I'm taking off of where I left off yesterday. Yesterday, I'm going to give you a rundown of what I went through. And I said, yesterday, I told you about, me being, you know, lost in the woods and the deaths I had followed and getting, initiated into the medicine lodge that my godfather belonged to. So, and going to school of what how the kids in elementary school felt about me fifth grade on. And so it was kind of rough. It was kind of rough because I had to really do over and beyond to have friends, and those that were my friends knew about who I was from their parents. They say don't mess with him. Or I remember one of my friends who's a good guy, his name was Shibala. He came up to me and says, "Man, my dad belongs to your medicine group, and he told me that you're part of that group, and I want to be your friend." And he became a good friend of mine. So friends like that, they knew about me, so they became my good friends. So I left off with, like I said, being the oddball, not being accepted into the playgrounds or anything that the school was doing. I just kind of felt like I was left out. So at the age of 14, I started to, you know, leave the reservation. You know, I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do because I was still young. And so I told my dad, I said, Dad, I want to leave the reservation. I want to do this and do that. All he told me was, please finish high school before you do anything. And I said, I promise you I'll finish school. So I started again, like I said, venturing off the reservation. And I went to Clovis and I went to started school over there. And when I went to school over there, I still kind of did not blend in because, you know, over there it was a country school. I call it country school, because them country boys out there, you're either in a black category, you're in a Mexican category, or you're white. And when you're white, you're either a hippie or a cowboy. But they looked at me and like, "You're native?" I said, "Yeah, I'm native." And they said, "Oh," and they just left it at that. And I had another kid. His name was Wade. He came up to me and he says, "Wow, you're somebody special." He said, "My dad told me that we're supposed to be part Indians." I said, "Okay, well, I'm native. I'm not an Indian." And he said, "Oh, okay. Well, native then." And so he played a trumpet like I did in school band. And he started pushing me to become a better trumpet player because he was a good trumpet player. And he started pushing me to where I got good at it. I mastered that trumpet, all state competition to all regions to, McDonald's All American Band, and so all this, I pushed myself. I pushed myself on what I wanted to do in everything, so all this that I went through in high school, even some of the classes, that I took, I pushed myself. And when I finally left there, I went to Estancia and still same thing. I pushed myself, play football, do this and everything. And then finally I just had enough credits to graduate midterm. And after my midterm, I um I started looking back. Well, they told me you're gonna graduate in December. I said, not in May? And they said, no, well, you got enough credits, you can leave. So I had a job while having a job, I said, well, okay. And so I talked to the director of the job that I had, and she goes, well, I can put you on full time if you want. And so I said, yeah, that'd be great. So after December, I went to work full time, but all these things that I went through, I still went back to my reservation in Zuni and participated with the ceremonial activities because again, Zuni have a structuralism and functionalism lifehood. And I think I explained that in one of my podcasts about structuralism. So I know as a medicine man, I had to put I had to fast at least once a month, 4 days or 4 days before or 4 days after. Between that, I have an 8 day window period to fast for 4 days during the full moon. And so, I knew I had to fast, but then again, we know what is structured for us. Towards the fall, we know we got things as a medicine people. We do ceremonies, so I was there for those things, those events. So to not only to participate, but also to master my modalities. And so I kept on. I pushed myself to where I got good with my modalities, and and I just kept it within. I did not share it with anybody, and the elders knew what I could do, and but they did not push it out of me. They just said, "All right, always keep it within," and they always told me that person that has knowledge of their modalities will not speak out, but a person that has no knowledge of their modalities will always be the one that's speaking out, trying to change, trying to control. But that's not what it's all about. What you do is you need to keep it within for your modalities to straighten out, sharpen up, and to be always protected and to be with you. Because that's how you master. All you have to do is practice it, and practice it and do it. And so that's what I kept doing. Every time I have time to myself, where I'm everything, I started singing the song that they taught me. Thinking about what modalities, what step by step that I had to do to take care of myself. Now again, these modalities were not taught to me. I had to figure out how I am going to use this. Now they told me what how if I use a relic, what those relics do and how they will help me. So I would have to develop my own modality on using different types of relics on what I need to do and everything. So each time I do a ceremony, you know, I may not use the same relics as most people do. I may have a different, vision of how to use these relics, or I will allow my guides to direct me to use these certain types of relics. So, I started doing that, and as I went along, keep on practicing it and keep on, like I said, by myself, I will keep on practice, practice, practice. I saw myself transforming. And transforming meaning that I realized that, you know, some of the things that I would see or do, you know, I have like vision before it happened, or some of the things that would do, you know, it would be unexplainable. And, you know, I kept on my modalities to myself, even though I participated with my medicine group and everything. I kept the modalities to myself because that's the way my elders told me. Do not go out and provide a show. We're not going to have no pump of circumstance with you out there performing for the crowd. No, you're here to help the people. And your best way to help them is help within. Only follow your guides of what they tell you. Don't go out there and have a performance of the lifetime for them because they're not here for the performance. They're here to be healed. So I started looking at it that way. I started looking at myself. Every time I did some type of a ceremony, I would review my modalities step by step. Did I do it right? Did I deviate? Did I what? But I would always analyze myself. Self, I guess analyzing myself is just really what helped me to be stronger and better. Because if I find a little mistake, I would say, okay, I'm gonna do it differently. I'm gonna try it this way. Or I would seek my guy, say, hey, I feel like this isn't right. How should I do it? And they will guide me. So I would always did things differently. And now the newcomers that were coming on board, they were just, I don't think, I don't believe they were taught as well as I was, because at that time, when I was I guess during between the 80s and 90s, we lost a lot of elders. We lost a lot of knowledge at that point, and none of that knowledge was passed on to the new people that was coming on. And you know, they didn't take things seriously, and that bothered me. But I never said a word. I never said a word about it because that is them. I just had to take care of myself. And in order to take care of myself, I just had to remain quiet, remain seated. It got to a point to where I was the oddball in that medicine group, to where I got challenged by other people. And I would just leave it alone because I wasn't there to, again, challenge the people about knowledge. I was just there to take care of myself, to take care of my modalities, to brush up my modalities using the shrine, the relics, the songs, the prayers, whatever. I was there to use those things, their energy, to better myself and to understand that when we do it as a group, we need to do it in one to where the energy will be so strong that I would feel it. And the rest of them, I don't know if they feel it or not. I wasn't there to really criticize them or look at them, but you know, I just did what I had to do. And when it was over with, I go home, and again, when I'm alone, now I used to go camping a lot. And when I go camping a lot by myself, I would practice my modalities. And even when I was in the military, I always saw and I always said, help me, help me, help me, help me. And I had a lot of opportunities that came up to me. And we were in Mediterranean Sea, you know, and me and my buddy, we said, we're this close to Egypt, we're this close to Israel. We need to manifest that we go there. But the first time we went, we did not go there. We went straight through and went out to the other side, which is the place called Bahrain. And we were in Bahrain and, up and down that, Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, and all that. And we said, wait a minute, this is not what we manifested. So, but after that, they told us, they said, y'all going to get a little R&R in Alexandria, Egypt. I said, wow. We heard that, man, we started thinking about what we're going to do. I said, I want to go see the pyramids. I want to see the things. I want to do this. I want to do that and all this kind of stuff. So on a weekend, we went and we took off. We stayed at Holiday Inn Sphinx in Alexandria. And, they said, the pyramids. I signed up for it. Well, I was the first one out there, ready to go. And when we got there, I looked at those pyramids and I could just feel the energy in them pyramids. It's like it was calling me. I said, wow. And I just said, okay, I'm here. I'm not going to fight you, whoever you are. I'm here. And so, as I was listening to the guide that was telling us about the pyramids and everything, and we went to Memphis to go see the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is the oldest pyramid. And when I was there, it just like something came upon me. And, you know, in Zuni, we call it Achian Lataba. And I said, wow, what would that mean in Egypt? And the guy that was giving us a tour at that time, only like four of us went to Giza, Memphis, to go see the Pyramid of Giza when we got there. And I saw what it was, and I said, I felt it. And I said, okay, whoever you are, whatever you are, you know, guide me up to these people. I don't know what you want me to do, but I'm here. That's all I say. I'm here. And next thing I know, one of the tour guides came up to me and says, come here. I said, what? I says, I want to take you into one of the pyramids. Let you, I don't know why I'm doing this, but you need to go in one of the pyramids. So I said, okay. And the other three, they will get left behind. They're out in the market, testing out the food or testing out the whatever they were selling. So I went by myself. That man led me, and he said, "This is the pyramid we're going to enter." And he says, "I said, can I do one thing?" And they said, "What's that?" I said, "Can I take my shoes off?" He looked at me and says, "Why?" I said, "I just felt like I need to take my shoes off because you know." I told him, I said, "I'm native, and I want to be able to ground." And they said, "Okay." So I took my shoes off, put them in my backpack, and I walked in. And I walked in as I walked into the little alleyway, little hallways on up, and then I finally they said, "This is the king's tomb." And all I saw was like a concrete block, maybe 5 foot long, maybe about 3.5 to 4 foot wide, concrete block. And I said, "Okay." He says, "Yeah." And I looked at all the pictures that was all around the walls, up, side, all directions. I saw all these pictures. And I remember it clicked on me. Hey, these are the same, you know, pictures that we have on our pictographs back home on the walls of our ancient villages. And I started looking at them and I said, wow, okay, what are you? And so I just asked if I could sit down for a while. They said, yeah. So I sat down, and as I was sitting there, it's like, again, our Achian Latapa, Birdman, came. And I was sitting there, and it's like he hovered behind me with his wings. And he just like hovered, stood there behind me with his wings open. And I was sitting there. And I kept thinking, I said, okay, what do you want? What do you want? He says, you are here to learn something. I said, well, I already learned about the pictures that y'all have out here. We have the same pictographs. I was just, I guess, esoterically speaking to him. And he was like behind me. He says, yeah, but they have more meanings to it. And I said, okay. And he started breaking it down in my mind, what these symbols meant. And I said, wow, okay, okay. And it's just like it was a recording that happened in my brain where, I mean, to this day, I could probably tell you everything step by step is what he said. But right now, I don't have the time. I just want to tell you who I was. But this is one of the experiences that I went through in the pyramid. And then when I got out, I said, I didn't say if I didn't ask if I was finished. I just continued. I guess I was meditating. I continued to sit there and meditated, just talking to myself, asking, why? Why me? And it was just like every time I asked why, and they just like throw something at me to where I look up and I see a different symbol. And I said, wow, that's what it means, huh? And I would start deciphering some of the symbols that were given to me because I know I've seen these symbols before. So I started memorizing some of these symbols. And when I got done, I thanked them. I said, thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for everything. I wish I had some offering to give y'all. And they said, you don't need to. We just accept your presence. So I got up and I walked off. I walked out of that tomb. When I walked out of that tomb, the guy that escorted me in there, he looked at me. He says, wow, what happened to you? And I said, nothing, nothing. Why? He says, you just glowing. And I said, well, uh, I don't know why. I guess I'm rested. I'm more energetic than I was walking up into that pyramid. He said, no, you have changed. And I said, okay. I said, all right. And I went there and I enjoyed it. And then we had 2 more days there. And Sphinx, the reason why it was Holiday Inn Sphinx, because Holiday Inn Hotel is just like a couple blocks from where Sphinx is. So I said, Sphinx, huh? So I said, I'm gonna go over there and check it out. So I went over there one evening and I sat out there and I was looking at it, and it's just like I just felt motherly love on me. And I said, wow, this feels good, comfortable. I'm like, it's just like, I don't know. To me, it's hard to describe that motherly love that I received over there, And I said, okay, all right, Sphinx, what are you trying to tell me? And I was reminded of the story that we have about Matlokatsuki in our native way. And I said, Matlokatsuki is the one that's supposed to have brought medicine, the magic of healing to the Zuni people. And I started thinking, I said, well, uh, how is that? How is that? Not realizing, because later on, I started thinking about or studying about the Egyptian, the old time of Egyptian. I realized that Thoth was Birdman to me, that was standing over behind me, with his wings open like this. And the one in the Sphinx was Isis. And I said, that's our Matlokatsuki is that's our interpretation of Isis? He says, yeah, she's pure white goddess. And I started thinking, I said, all right, Isis, huh? And just so happened that year, a good friend of mine asked me, he says, can we go down to the Salt Lake and just get some salt for me? I got ceremonial to do and I need some Zuni salt. I said, okay. So we went. When I got to that Salt Lake, he had to go do something because he had a prosthetic leg. So he had to go do something. And I sat down and I said, it's just like opened up and says, I'm here. And it's just like that love that I felt, comfort that I felt in Sphinx came back to me. This was like maybe 8 years later, you know, 1992. I said, wow, what is going on? And when I looked at the salt lake, the water salt lake, the salt just came up from the bottom and went to the top. I said, wow. So me and my friend walked down there and I said, I thanked the salt lady for the salt. We picked up the salt that we needed, and they're heavy. Those bags of salt that we packed up, they were heavy. And my friend goes, I'd like to get more salt, but I can only carry one because we're not supposed to put it down until we get to the vehicle. It's not that salt is not supposed to hit the ground once we pulled it out of the lake. And I already had two of them, two good sized ones tied up on the hole that we carried down there. So I was carrying two of them, and he wanted more. So I said, "Okay, grab you some more. Give me that third one." And so I picked it. I grabbed it. We had to walk up like maybe a half a mile out of the volcano crater because that's where the salt lake is. We're walking up, and that volcano cinder, which is almost like volcano ash, but it's more, crisp, more harsh. Every step you take, you may take one step, but it's only half a step because all that cinder starts sliding down. So it was twice as hard to walk up than it was to walk down. So I had those three bags and I carried it up there, and my friend was right behind me. Says, "I don't know how you did it because you just walked up there like it was nothing." And I got to the vehicle and I loaded up the salt bags. And I said, "Well, it might have been nothing, but man, I got tired." So he said, "Well, you carried it up like nothing." So we went to a place where we normally wash up and clean ourselves. We got to that point, and I turned around. I looked at the salt lake. All the salt was gone. He looked at me and says, "What happened to the salt?" I said, salt lady took it back. And so I said, as we were leaving, because she was driving, as we were leaving, I looked back and I said, "Could it be our salt lady? Could it be ISIS?" And then I started thinking about the medicine, the magic that we do. I don't say the magic, but the gifts that we have, you know, psychic surgery and stuff like that. You know, I started thinking about that. I said, wow, and the herbs to heal ourselves, the energy to heal ourselves, to help people heal. We don't do the healing. We connect. The healing is out there. We connect and help them grab that healing. So when I got out, when I got out of Egypt, I kept looking back, thinking, why did I experience this? Why? I said, well, I finally said, one day I'm gonna get my answer. One day I'm gonna find out why. So again, my homeboy came and says, "Hey, we're this close to Israel. We got to manifest Israel. We're gonna go to Israel. I know we're this close. I mean, we're just like across the pond. We're gonna go there." Sure enough, before we left Egypt, we got an announcement saying that y'all are going to Israel to do this. And it might be a month, it might be 2 months that y'all gonna be there. So wow. So got to Israel. We pulled in Haifa, got to Haifa. And I said, why Haifa? And I looked at it, they said, that's Mount Carmel. I said, okay. And, I said, wow. So on my free time, I started exploring. Me and my homeboy, we started exploring because, you know, we didn't want to go out and party like the rest of them. We just wanted to explore, you know. So we went out different places. We told ourselves, we got to get to the Dead Sea. We got to get to, I don't know what's at the Dead Sea, but we just got to go there. So we got there. Kept looking at that Dead Sea and kept looking at it. I said, man, I don't know why I got to do this. He said, what are you going to do? Don't be crazy. What I do? I jumped in the Dead Sea. Man, That water was nasty. A little bit of water came into my mouth. It was nasty. I got up, I got out of that thing. He looked at me and says, "You crazy? Why'd you do that?" He said, "Well, I think I baptized myself in the Dead Sea because I feel good. Now the water is nasty, but I feel good now." He said, "Okay." So after we left the Dead Sea, I had to change clothes because I mean that that water just ruined my clothes. And so I changed my clothes and we continued our journey and we started going up to different places, like a pond, which is supposed to be a portal, which is the den of Satan. We got close. There is a tour area where people go, people go, people go. But for some reason, I couldn't get there. I looked at it and my body says, "Don't go there, don't go there." So I said, "Okay." So I sat back and I sat down and I said, "You go on, you go ahead. I'll be sitting right here waiting for you." And so they went in, they looked at it, and they came back and was telling me about it. And back then we didn't have cell phones, so we couldn't take pictures. He took pictures with his camera, little pocket camera, but pictures didn't come out. So well, okay. But staying in Israel, we went to a lot of places that was very special. Also, had a lot of energy. Of even to the Wailing Wall. I felt the energy of the people that were there, of the commitment that they do, the ceremony, the strength of it, which made me realize that, man, when I do my ceremony, that's the kind of commitment I need to give. So those two places is where my transformation really happened. Because when I came back home, I started looking at the shrine. I started looking at the symbols. I started when I started looking at those symbols, all everything was interpreted right in front of me as to why those symbols are there and for what purpose. And I said, okay. And then I started looking at some of the alchemy symbols that I saw, and I would go out hiking, I go up to the pictographs. I would look at those symbols. And again, it was interpreted to me as to what is out there. And, the stargazer started to tell me about the space beings. Think beyond, because that's what I do when I look at the stars at night. I look beyond the galaxy. I look into the universe because that's where everything is. Us little galaxies, there are many little galaxies within the universe, but there are other universes out there. I said, wow. And so looking at some of those pictographs of them documenting space beings connecting the natives back then, I said, to a lot of people, that's a good fairy tale story to them. But we have proof right here. Why would they want to document something like this unless they experienced it? So my transformation got me to where I started seeking deeply. And when I start seeking deeply, every time we go somewhere, a different country, I started, rather than, because I didn't drink. So I was, me and my homeboy, you know, as I call him, because he didn't drink either. Me and him, we would go somewhere else. We would separate ourselves from the people. We'll go out and want to have a good time. But we'll start talking with the local people. And my curiosity started thinking about their culture, how they do stuff. And I started learning different cultures, learning from different cultures. And I started sharing some of my knowledge that I learned with the different cultures. Like, you know, when I was in the Buddhist, you know, I got my Gohan-san at a World Peace Conference, you know, became a member of the Buddhists, you know, and when I got my Gohan-san, you know, I was tested of my enlightenment. What is an enlightenment? And, you know, when people said, you know, when you start chanting, what they teach you to chant, and all it is, again, is bringing the energy of going through your body, going out. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. When you start chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you're bringing the energy from the top, going through your body, going out from the feet. You know, you start chanting that. Well, your enlightenment will start coming. And people will say, what kind of drug are you on? I said, what do you mean? They said, you're different. You're always happy. I said, well, I just got done chanting. And so I learned how to chant. I learned how to started studying with the Buddhists about the energy. And then we were in Tunisia, went to Ghana. So when I was in Ghana, you know, I met two good people. And I told them, I want to learn the culture. He says, what do you mean the culture? I said, I want to learn the culture. You know, where we were in Ghana was a big city. So he took me out of the city, took me to a little town, introduced me to a medicine man out there or a shaman out there. I sat there with him for 3 days and I just watched him while he did his modalities. When he started getting into psychic surgery, I said, wow. And I said, I started protecting myself when he started doing that. And he asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm protecting myself because I know what you're doing. I said, good, good. I don't have to protect you because I feel your energy is strong. You are being protected. You are protected. I said, okay, thank you. I am protected. So he continued to doing that. And then after he would do that, he says, man, you can do this, can't you? I said, yeah. He says, wow. He was about 60 years old. And he told me that he started his shamanic practice at the age of 14. It's passed down to from his grandpa. And the more we talked, the more I realized we were in the same boat, meaning that we connect first. We protect ourselves, connect with the Father, the Creator, and Mother. Then, if we use any relics, we call upon and connect with the relics because, you know, they're like, he told me, he says, these relics are like angels. They're here to protect and they're here to guide you. I said, okay. So that's what I learned from him. That the relics that we use are like angels. They're there to protect us. They're there to guide us. So if you use relics, remember that. So as I got further into studying more, you know, like I say, learning about the Buddhist world, enlightenment, breathing exercise, the energy, you know, I said, where am I going with all this? And then as I started my modalities more and more, you know, I got criticized a lot, but that's okay. They don't understand because this is my, you know, ways of helping people. This is my mission. And anybody that needs help with theirs, I'm here. But this is what I have been studying. And as I carry on, getting out of the military, I started, I didn't go back to the reservation because my duty, my mission was to be out there. You know, I was fortunate enough to where opened a business, and I was fortunate enough to where I was not tied down to it because I had good workers, which gave me enough freedom to do what I had to do wherever I was. And when I started doing that, my modalities elsewhere, again, yeah, they're going to come after you. The dark will come after you. And I did go through a lot. But with what I learned, helped me. You know, I got hit head on by a drunk driver that I lost my dad. But I forgave and I moved on. Forgiving was a part that I really had to do because, again, the hidden modalities that I talked about, you know, we'll start from there. You know, this is where I'm going to end for today. Tomorrow, I will continue. So y'all will get to know me again. I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for being part of the tribal member. And if there's any way I can be of assistance, call me. I love y'all, and I'm here to share what I have learned. And I'm a little over halfway done, so bear with me. I love you. I see y'all tomorrow. Bye bye.